host, Bill Muckler, and I'm coming to you from my home studio in Cocoa, Florida on America's beautiful Space Coast. Today I'm really excited to have a guest that's clear across the country from me on the Pacific Coast in Palmdale, which is the Los Angeles area, and that's Raji Rykert. So Raji, welcome to the American Vision.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you so much for having me today. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself.
Great.
As you mentioned, I am in Los Angeles, California. Palmdale is the north part of LA County. And what happened was I bought a small ranch and set up a licensed residential home care business. And in the process of doing that, I discovered in working specifically with homeless veterans and mentally disabled adults that there were some gaps. So there's a lot of agencies that provide assistance to people, but what happens once those people have stabilized and they want to continue improving themselves and bettering their lives? Sometimes they have the resources and sometimes they don't. For example, I had a homeless veteran that I had taken in for several months, and the agency actually subsidized his living expenses, but then his car broke down and he wanted to go to school and he wanted to start looking for a job. He was in his early 40s and certainly young enough to do those things, establish independence. But the agency told him they would either pay for his housing or they'd pay for his car, but they wouldn't do both. And it left us both scratching our heads, wondering, here's a great person, a fine young man trying to improve his station in life, and yet he was running into these hurdles. So it gave me the idea that if I established a nonprofit, that maybe using some of my own resources, I could fund the nonprofit and then use those to subsidize and create scholarships for people. A little bit about me professionally: I had worked in healthcare as an employee as well as an independent consultant for many years, over 2 decades. And just, you know, big heart for people and caring for people and kind of seeing how the world works, not just on the consumer side, but also on the back end and the business side. I realized that there could be quite an opportunity here. And just because I had quite a lucrative position in the corporate world, you know, I was able to steward my own money and create a nice little surplus that I could then help others with. So in using my own resources and creating these scholarships, I was able to help several people, and then to just watch the transformation that took place before my very eyes, Bill. It was something that I always say makes God smile at the end of the day, or, you know, just makes God smile, period. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I walked away feeling very satisfied. And as I started to see this and realizing that my own resources are limited, so if I reach out and start getting the word and sharing this message with people, there might be some people who actually are passionate about the same thing, which is helping homeless veterans and, you know, mentally ill adults.
So that's how you started Helping America Now.
Yes.
And it's a 501c3, and you have a great website, helpingamericanow.org. So tell us a little bit about your organization and how you help people and how you find people and how they can contact you.
Yes, so I get referrals either through local agencies. I will work with people who are either working with a case manager or they have someone who can vouch for them, so to speak. As genuine as some people's needs are, there are those, you know, of course, that try to work the system. So people, if they do have a financial need and they're looking to either get a scholarship for school or get assistance with car repair or pay for a storage unit. For example, I had a young man, he was in a sober living program and he was in the process of getting some of his veterans benefits to kick in, but he hadn't quite achieved that, you know, that the final part yet where they issue payment. And he had, he was 2 months in arrears on a storage unit. So he submitted a request, and I spoke with his case manager. She was able to corroborate exactly what was going on with him. So we ended up paying 3 months of his storage unit fees, so he didn't have that stress looming over his head. His finances did kick in. He was able to move into a home and get his things out of storage. He had a fiance. She was in nursing school. So they were on a trajectory to try and improve their lives, but they hadn't quite secured that position yet. And that's where Helping America Now was able to come in and provide assistance.
Yes, and you talked about your ranch. I think it's called Three Faces Ranch.
Yes.
And you actually can actually help people by putting them up there, and is that how it works?
Yes. So with the ranch, what happens is people, especially veterans who are homeless, they often work with agencies, and I have relationships with many of the case managers and field representatives. And field representatives is a term for the people that are actually out there in the street working with the veterans, helping them get food, shelter, housing, and so forth. So they might identify someone who is a great fit. So what I've done is Helping America Now has a contract in place with Three Faces Ranch. And so Three Faces Ranch is the brick and mortar housing. Helping America Now subsidizes the funding that the agencies, the agencies will provide some of the funding, and then Helping America Now provides the rest of it. And then these people get to come and live somewhere where it's safe and warm, wonderful, nutritious meals. We do a whole farm-to-table, mostly organic food experience. So after about a month or two, they start to improve in their health. They're in a safe place. They're not watching their back, as you often have to do living on the street. They're getting medical attention. Some of them have medical and health issues that they've postponed. And so we get all of those pieces in place. Our whole goal is to empower people. And sometimes that's not just money. Sometimes that's just being someone to hold their hand and help them navigate through the process. We had one young Marine who had served in some of the deadliest deployments in the world. He was on 4 separate deployments, so he was really suffering from PTSD. He came and stayed with us for a little bit, and he wanted to go back to school. So we were able to help him with that, and then get him in touch with people at the university level so he could make that transition. And so those are some of the things that we do in addition to just the financial piece of scholarships and helping them.
In looking at your webpage, I saw some photos. It was like a before and after, and it's like a miracle. I mean, a vet who looked like he didn't have a bit of hope at all, and all of a sudden he looks like a robust corporate executive almost.
Yeah.
And I mean, the transformation is just amazing.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. That I think as a society, sometimes when people are down and out, we make our prejudgment calls or kind of ignore them, and yet every person has intrinsic value just by the virtue of the fact that they're a human being, right? Mm-hmm. And if they're living and breathing and they want something better in life, then we certainly want to be there to support that.
Yeah. And you also help young women. I know I've seen photos on your webpage of a young lady.
Yes. We had one woman who she had some mental health issues and some very significant medical issues that she had overcome. And she was living in a different state. She was in an abusive relationship. And her daughter is the one that reached out and said, is there anything you can do to help my mom? And so she actually housed her at the ranch, but then through the scholarship program, we were able to get her some assistance and transportation to some of her medical appointments. She was able to get away from the negative influence of the relationship that she had been suppressed by for so long. And then she was able to connect. We put her in touch with a therapeutic riding stable. She was from a state where there's a lot of horses, and she loved being outdoors. And now she volunteers there 4 days a week, and she's just thriving and doing so well. So it's all about building people in a holistic approach, looking at them body, soul, and spirit.
I think as I've gotten older, and now I'm getting pretty old, is people say, well, why do you do all that you're doing? And I say, well, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I meet so many wonderful people, and I think maybe I can help some people and talk to people. And here in Brevard County, Florida, where we are, Coco's in Brevard County, we have something that's called the Veterans Memorial Center, and we're really proud of it. In fact, I'm the secretary of the center. And we have a museum and offices and displays. But what we do is that we also have a DAV office, and we have vets come in every day. They're just lined up coming in to help them with their benefits, with their paperwork, and do all those sorts of things. So, and we're all volunteers, you know. I mean, and so we do fundraising events and all that. So, and then we hold events like Memorial Day coming up. Well, actually, I think our show will be broadcast one day after Memorial Day. So, but 4th of July, you know, Veterans Day, all those kinds of things. So I'm well aware of how all this happens. And, you know, that's why I was so excited to have you on the show, because you're helping you know, so many people.
Yes.
That really, you know, all they need is just somebody to give them a little bit of help so they can get on the right track.
You're right.
When your organization is helping America Now, can people from other states or other locales?
Absolutely. Yes, as long as they're located in the United States or a U.S. Territory, they are absolutely more than welcome. They can send us an email. They can contact us through our website. It's probably the best way to do it. And then we'll go through a series of questions just to, you know, screen people to determine their level of need. They do have to demonstrate that they, you know, have the financial need. And, you know, we want to help as much as we can. And one thing that you reminded me of as you were sharing your story about volunteering, 100% of every cent that comes into Helping America Now goes to the people that need it. We don't keep any of that for administrative costs. You know, I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to have other sources of income that I don't have to be paid to do this. This is completely a labor of love.
Yes, that's wonderful, and I can really relate to that, because like our center, you know, everything that comes in, it goes back to vets.
Yes.
And we have, I guess we do have a few vets that help us with maintenance and janitorial services, and we give them, you know, they make a little bit of money, you know, on the side for doing that. But other than that, you know, and of course that's really helping vets too, isn't it?
Of course, of course.
So, yeah. So what else would you like to talk about or tell us about that we haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we are going to do, I've not done fundraising in the past, but we are going to launch something this year. We just need to get some of our social media numbers up, I'm being told, before we can actually launch this. But I've asked Sherry Belafonte, she's an actress and author and model, and you know, the list of things that Sherry can do is endless, but one thing she loves to do is dance. So we're going to do a dance-related fundraiser that Sherry has agreed to host for us. And we're going to take that and we're going to broadcast it. And you know, if people just continue to check our website and our social media page, and if they friend us or somehow get on our mailing list through the website, we will make sure we keep them informed of that. And another thing is that I've been invited to write a book, and it's just it's sort of an entertaining book. If you think of Reader's Digest meets Irma Bombeck, it's sort of that style of just life stories and different things, very entertaining. But when that book is published, I'm going to have all of the proceeds of that book also go to the Helping America Now general fund, so that way it creates another resource for us.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And if there's anything else you would like to tell us about your, do you have, well, let me ask you, we have time. Can you tell us some success stories of some other vets that you've helped or other people you've helped?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we had one gentleman come through. I mentioned the one who needed the car repairs, or living at the ranch or getting his car fixed, and he was able to transition on to another place. He was able to get a subsidized housing. It's a program that is subsidized housing specifically for veterans. And he was able to get his own place. And he actually stopped by a couple weeks ago to say hello. He looked great. He had got some medical treatment for a condition that he had been battling for some time. And it's just exciting to see that. Another young man, his story was very different. He lived with us for a couple of months, and he actually had a psychotic outburst from the PTSD that he had been experiencing. This is the same young man that I mentioned to you who had served in some very deadly deployments around the world. And unfortunately, he was not able to stay at the ranch, but the situation that ended up transpiring, he was able to get the professional help that he needed, some long overdue psychological intervention. So, sometimes we serve a purpose where we're with someone from the beginning till they transition out. Sometimes they stay with us, and sometimes it's just for a very specific season and then they move on. I had one lady who came in. She had put on a lot of weight and was suffering from diabetes, and just by living at the ranch for a couple of years and adhering to the regimen of food and snacks and exercise, and we do yoga and art therapy and different things, she lost 45 pounds and got off of all of her diabetic medications. So, these are significant stories, and people feel better about themselves, and of course their lives are improved.
And it looks like it's improved your life immensely too, because you just look like you're so passionate and so full of joy in talking about this.
I am. It's a lot of work sometimes, but then at the end of the day, when I put my head down on the pillow, I'm just so grateful, first of all, for all the many blessings that have overtaken me and mine, but then also all the people that I can help as a result of that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. And I want to say, God bless you, and God bless our veterans and all the people who need help. And God bless our America.
Yes, God bless America. Thank you so much, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, boys and girls, I'm back after a short break, and I hope that you can get familiar with and get to know everything about Helping America Now, and get involved if you can. And they have a wonderful web page, and it's all one word, helpingamericanow.org, O-R-G. So helpingamerica.org, and that'll take you to the web page. You can learn more about it and learn more about the wonderful work that Raji Rykert is doing. And also, while you're thinking about doing some wonderful things, one of the wonderful things you could do is remember your old Marine buddy Bill, and get the book. I'd love for you to get my book, and all the proceeds of my book go to charity, because I don't make anything out of this at all either. So I'm not a nonprofit, but I'm certainly not making any profits either. But this book is really a fantastic book. And I've also got a new book I've finished writing, and I'm just finishing up the final touches on it to getting ready to be edited. And it's called 2020, A Clear Vision for Our Future. And it's written in 3 parts about restoring our Constitution and respecting our culture and reclaiming our country. So I want you to be looking for that, and you can pre-order that book. And if you pre-order the book, I'll actually list your name in the acknowledgments section in the back of the book. So, man, what more could anybody ask? And so thank you all for watching. Remember to contact helpingamericanow.org, and God bless you all. God bless our veterans and our active duty personnel, and God bless America, and God save our America, because we need you now more than ever before.